The storm's gift. The wind screamed over the high reaches of Outpost Varn, its icy fingers clawing against the rusted edges of the isolated medical station. Dr. Kale Veric moved through the frost-bitten corridors like a man bound to memory. The war was long over, at least officially, but the wounds it left behind never healed. Not on the worlds it scarred, and certainly not inside him. On Azora 6, far from any galactic shipping lane or tribunal's eye, Kale had tried to bury the ghosts by burying himself. But even in exile, mercy followed him like a shadow. He was calibrating a faulty blood filtration module when the perimeter alarm shrieked. It was an old signal, the type that had once screamed of incoming gunships or radiation storms. He hadn't heard it in months, until now. His breath caught. The outer sensors showed movement. Something big, limping toward the station. There were no colony patrols out here, no known life forms adapted to this region's wind-blasted tundra. For a long moment, he considered locking the doors, letting the storm swallow it whole. But instinct, the one he had tried to smother with solitude, won. Kale donned his fur-lined coat and opened the hatch. The blast of cold punched the air from his lungs, but there it was, emerging through the violet haze of the Azuran blizzard, a massive feline shape, black and silver with stripes that shimmered like refracted starlight. It was a tiger, or something that wore the tiger's shape. Twice the size of an earth-born predator, its musculature was alien, too lean, too corded with tension. Its tail was ringed with subtle spines, and one of its shoulders dragged as it moved. It collapsed 5 meters from his door. Kale's mind screamed that this was a death machine, a creature bred on other worlds for war. Destruction. Shock. Terror. The kind he had seen once on Kepler 7, charging through the trenches with blood-caked teeth and implanted targeting systems in their skulls. This was one of them. He could see the scars where cables once were, now torn free. But this one was dying. Its flanks heaved. It shivered, body racked by deep-seated tremors. Blood leaked from multiple shallow wounds, and thick black mucus bubbled from its nostrils. Kale stepped closer. "Easy," he whispered. "Don't die on my doorstep." Its eyes opened. They were amber, not the cold digital sensors of war tigers, but real, weary eyes. And they held something that made Kale pause. Not rage. Not fear. Something human. The healing touch. Kale knelt beside the dying creature, laid a hand on its trembling chest, and felt the fever burning inside. The vitals were erratic, heart rate unstable, body temperature plunging. It was hypothermic and infected, systems in full failure. Kale swore. There were protocols, of course. Galactic codes. Rules against engaging with dangerous species, against administering human medicine to alien biology without clearance. But none of that mattered when a living thing was dying at your door. He summoned his medkit and loaded a standard broad-spectrum serum. The formula was Earth-developed, designed to combat viral shock and cellular collapse in humanoids. It was the only thing he had. He slid the injector into the tiger's neck and pressed the trigger. The beast flinched, then fell still. "Let that be the one thing that saves you," he whispered. He dragged the enormous body inside, torn muscles screaming under the weight, and placed it beneath the outpost's heat grids. Hours passed. He cleaned wounds, applied thermal gel to the cracked pads of the paws, and kept whispering words the creature would never understand. Until it stirred. Not violently, not with a growl. Just a breath, deep, slow, controlled. The kind you took when you chose to live. Kale sat beside it, half dead from exhaustion, and muttered, "If you kill me tomorrow, I guess I deserve it. But not tonight." And the tiger closed its eyes again, alive. When Kale woke, it was to warmth. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. The harsh chill of the outpost was always the first thing that reminded him he hadn't died in his sleep. But now the air was thick with heat, the kind that came from a living furnace. He sat up slowly and found himself eye to eye with the alien tiger. It was awake, very awake. Its front legs were folded beneath its massive frame like a predator at rest, but its posture was tense, like a coiled spring holding back 1,000 instincts. Its eyes followed Kale's every breath, every twitch of his fingers. He didn't move. Neither did it. "Good morning," he said softly, his voice raw. "Guess the medicine worked." The tiger blinked once. Its tail moved, slow and deliberate. Kale held up both hands. "No sedatives left in your system. If you want to tear my throat out, this would be the time." A long moment passed. Then the tiger looked away. Kale exhaled shakily. "I'll take that as progress." The recognition. Kale got to his feet cautiously, keeping to one side of the room. The tiger didn't follow, but its head tracked him. He moved to the console and ran a quick scan of its vitals. The fever had broken, the tremors had ceased. The blood readings were still unstable but improving. The serum had worked. Somehow. Kale leaned against the desk, staring at the creature. "What are you?" No records in the archives matched this exact species. It had the DNA template of a Terran tiger, yes, but the musculature, the trace cybernetic signatures, the spine structure, all wrong. It had been modified. Augmented. Then abandoned. "Were you part of the Mahari program?" he asked aloud. "Or were you one of the rogue genetic labs? Too smart to kill, too dangerous to keep?" The tiger didn't answer, of course, but it stood and walked slowly across the room. Kale froze, expecting the final strike. But instead, it stopped just in front of him and lowered its head. Kale stared. The gesture was unmistakable. Submission? No, not submission. Something deeper. A gesture of recognition. He lifted a trembling hand and placed it on the thick fur behind the tiger's ear. It didn't flinch. Its breathing remained calm. He felt the faint hum of something deeper inside, like an old machine still clinging to its protocols but waiting, wanting something more. Kale dropped to a knee, eyes searching the tiger's face. "You're not just alive, you're awake, aren't you?" The tiger licked its lips, then turned and padded back toward the heating grid, collapsing with a soft grunt. Kale whispered, "I gave you something human, and you kept it." Then the proximity alarm screamed again. Kale ran to the terminal. 3 ships, descending from orbit. Military design. No codes, no insignia. His blood turned to ice. They weren't here for weather research. They were here for what he'd saved. And this time, they weren't going to knock. The siren's cry faded, but the dread in Kale's chest didn't. 3 ships, heavy drop ships, moving fast and low over the ice cliffs. Black hulls, red thrusters. No Federation markings, no broadcasts, no standard comm, just a line of descent straight toward his outpost like arrows shot from the sky. Kale had seen ships like those before. Not during peace. Not during rescue missions. Only during Black Ops recoveries, operations where questions weren't asked and whatever was taken didn't return. He turned from the terminal to see the tiger sitting calmly by the far wall, golden eyes narrowed. Its body was relaxed, but its tail twitched. It knew. It felt it. Kale swore, then began moving fast. The choice. "They're coming for you," Kale said, grabbing emergency supplies from the storage locker. "Whatever you were before, whatever program created you, they want you back." The tiger rose, muscles coiling with predatory grace. But there was something else in its movements now, intelligence. Understanding. Kale sealed the last of the medical supplies into a transport case. "I can try to hide you, but they'll scan the entire station. Or." He looked at the tiger, mind racing. "We run." The creature tilted its head, amber eyes studying him with an intensity that made Kale's breath catch. Then it padded over to the equipment locker and, with surprising delicacy, picked up Kale's backup communicator in its teeth. "You understand," Kale breathed. "You actually understand." The distant rumble of landing thrusters echoed through the station walls. They were out of time. Kale grabbed his coat and the transport case. "There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the old mining complex. If we can reach it before they breach the station." Heavy boots clanged against the outer airlock. Voices, muffled but urgent. Military precision. The Tiger moved to Kale's side, its massive form radiating protective heat. For a moment, the former combat medic saw something impossible in those alien eyes: trust. Complete, absolute trust. "This way," he whispered. They moved through the station's rear corridors as the front entrance exploded inward. Shouts echoed behind them, commands to secure the perimeter, scan for biological signatures, contain any specimens found. Specimens. Not creatures. Not lives. Specimens. The maintenance hatch was rusted, but Kale's desperate strength tore it open. The tunnel beyond was barely wide enough for the Tiger, but the creature squeezed through without complaint. They crawled through darkness, the Tiger's body heat warming the frozen metal around them. Behind them, boots thundered through the station. Scanners hummed. Orders were barked with increasing frustration. Negative on visual confirmation. Thermal shows recent activity in the medical bay. Whatever was here is gone. They emerged into the abandoned mining complex 20 minutes later, both breathing hard. The Tiger immediately positioned itself between Kale and the tunnel entrance, eyes fixed on the darkness behind them. "We can't stay here," Kale said. "They'll expand their search grid." The Tiger looked at him, then padded to the far side of the chamber. There, half hidden by debris, was another tunnel, this one leading deeper into the planet's crust. Kale smiled grimly. "You've been here before, haven't you? This is how you found me." The bond unbroken. The deeper tunnels were warmer, heated by geothermal vents that made the air thick and breathable. They walked for hours, the Tiger occasionally stopping to sniff the air or listen for pursuit. But the military teams never came this deep. Finally, they reached a vast underground cavern, its walls glowing with bioluminescent crystals. The Tiger collapsed beside a warm spring, exhaustion finally claiming it. Kale sat beside his unlikely companion, both of them safe for the first time in days. "They'll keep looking," he said quietly. "You're kind, you're too valuable to just abandon." The Tiger's ears flicked, but it didn't move. "But they made one mistake," Kale continued, gently stroking the creature's flank. "They created something that could choose. And you chose to trust instead of kill. To save instead of destroy." Months passed in the deep places of Azora 6. Kale established a new medical station in the caverns, using the skills that had once made him valuable to the military. But now he used them for a different purpose, treating the underground dwellers, the forgotten colonists who had fled to the deep places to escape the wars above. The Tiger became his constant companion, its presence both protection and proof that mercy could triumph over programming. The creature learned to assist in medical procedures, its enhanced intelligence adapting to new purposes with remarkable speed. Sometimes, late at night by the crystal fires, Kale would catch the Tiger staring at the cavern ceiling, amber eyes distant. He knew it remembered the surface, the cold sky, the ships that had come to reclaim it. "Do you miss it?" he would ask. "The world above?" But the Tiger would always turn back to him, settling beside the human who had chosen to save rather than surrender, to protect rather than profit. In the end, the military declared Outpost Varn a total loss, equipment failure during an ice storm, they said. No survivors found. The search for the escaped specimen was quietly discontinued, classified files sealed away. But deep in the warm heart of Azora 6, a former combat medic and an engineered predator had found something neither had expected to discover: family. The kind forged not by blood or code, but by choice. By mercy given when it wasn't required, trust offered when it wasn't safe, and loyalty earned when it couldn't be commanded. Kale often wondered if this was what peace felt like, not the absence of war, but the presence of something worth protecting. Every morning when he woke to find the tiger watching over him, every evening when they sat together by the crystal light, he knew he had found his answer. He had come to Azora 6 to escape his past. Instead, he had found his future. And it had amber eyes and the heart of something that chose to be human when it could have chosen to be a weapon. In the deep places where no ships could find them, mercy had finally won. The end.